What's good, everybody? This is Coach Burk, and I'm here today with your daily dose. Today, we're going to be talking about how quickly we forget. How quickly we forget. And we're going to start off with some scripture real quick. It comes from Mark chapter 8, verse 16 and 17. Mark chapter 8, verse 16 and 17. It says this: They began to discuss with one another the fact that they had no bread. They begin to discuss with one another the fact that they had no bread. So I want you guys to picture this with me. Picture this: a group of friends had just left a large gathering of people, about 5,000 to be exact, and they were setting sail on the Sea of Galilee when they realized they had no bread. So they set sail, and they had just left a gathering of 5,000 people, and they realized they had no bread. Now, at this time, this was no small matter because the trip could have been long, the trip could have been treacherous, and they needed food, they needed supplies, they needed things because this journey could potentially be difficult. But the story doesn't stop there. See, at the large gathering, we'll back up just a little bit. At this large gathering, Jesus had been teaching and preaching to about 5,000 people, and the crowd became very hungry. And I know you remember this story. And Jesus took 5 loaves and 2 fish, and he multiplied it, and he fed everyone. In fact, there was so much food that there were 12 baskets that were left over with leftovers. And so Jesus multiplied. Jesus is in the multiplying business. And so what happened is, as soon as that miracle happened, and as soon as that gathering took place, and Jesus and his disciples left to get on a boat to sail across the sea, in haste, they forgot to pack the supplies. They forgot to pack the bread. They forgot to pack the drinks. They forgot to pack, their whitey tidies. I don't know. But it says that they started talking amongst each other that there was no bread. They had just forgotten what had just happened. They had just seen Jesus perform a miracle, a huge miracle. And it's like immediately, not even minutes, hours afterwards, they are forgetting how great our God is, how great Jesus is, who miraculously fed 5,000 people. And so, you and I can be in similar boats. We really could. Jesus was right there in that boat when things were taking place. Jesus was right there when he heard the conversations going on. He heard them start to get fearful. He heard them start to worry. He heard them start to doubt. And I'm sure if I was Jesus, I would have been there shaking my head, and I'm sure he was shaking his head like, listen, you knuckleheads, don't you remember what I just did? You guys are saying you don't have bread. Do you not think I could do something in your life? So, a lot of times we're like the disciples. We've experienced a miraculous circumstance, and God's come through time and time again, and we turn right back around and we forget, like almost immediately. And we begin to whine, or we begin to complain, or we begin to be fearful, or we begin to fret, or we begin to doubt, or we allow fear to grip our heart. And Jesus has already proven himself time and time again in our lives. I know in my life, I can tell you miracle after miracle after miracle of how Jesus has done things in my life and in my family's life. And, and there's times when circumstances arise that I find myself doubting. I find myself operating in fear and struggling to trust Jesus, because I don't, you guys have heard me, I don't trust easy. And it's hard for me sometimes when situations and circumstances arise for me to trust. And I think we're all in that situation. Jesus has always come through. He said he would never leave us nor forsake us, that he'd stick closer than a brother. He said that he would provide for all of our needs according to his riches and his glory. And so he's got promises, and he is one that will never, ever, ever lie to us. He is one that we can trust and put all of our trust in. He will never let us down. He is always there. So if you're struggling to trust Jesus today, and I know I do, I want to encourage you that Jesus is exactly who he says he is, and he will do exactly what he says he'll do. But he doesn't force us to trust him. He doesn't force us to believe in him. That's where our faith has to kick in. And he allows that decision to be a deliberate act of our own free will. So will you take your eyes off your circumstances today? Will you realize that the boat that you're on, no matter how rocky the waves get, no matter how scarce it looks as far as provision is there, things like that, that Jesus is there in the boat with you, and that it is his purpose and his heart to bless you and to make sure that you're taken care of and that all your needs are met. So get to know him, soften your heart. Don't let your heart get hard towards him, and because he's right there in the boat with you. And just know this, that if God is for you, who can be against you? Until next time, peace and prayers, God bless, and I hope you have a great week.